Hey guys, so I'm Taunt, I'm the Associate Head Baseball Coach at Pacific Lutheran University. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the recruiting process today. We get asked all the time questions about, what it actually takes to be seen, what matters, what doesn't matter. How does the process start? When does it start? What do we say to colleges? So I'm going to take you guys through the entire bit, from how you get seen all the way through what we should do on visits, what we shouldn't do on visits. Take questions. I want this to be interactive. If you guys have any questions, shout them out at me, because we're here for you guys to learn how this process works. So the first thing I want to talk to everybody about is what makes a recruitable athlete. So what is it that's going to get me to play in college, right? So there's 5 main tools that we're all going to look for in positional guys, okay? So the first one we're going to look at, we'll just call it defense, okay? So the first thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at defensively. Can this guy feel his way around? Okay, does he have a set position? Are we going to have to move this guy around? Is his skill set applicable to what he wants to come in and play, or is that going to be a big deal? Can he play multiple spots? Okay, the next one I'm going to go for, can he hit? Obviously pretty important, okay? Pretty self-explanatory. Personally, and everybody's different, when I watch people hit and I'm trying to evaluate talent to see if they can fit into our program, I want to see aggressiveness, I want to see hand speed, I want to see a guy that's not trying to go up and flip the baseball the other way. I want to see somebody that wants to do damage. And to be 100% honest with you guys, 2 strikeouts and a ball off the fence is going to do more for me as a recruiter than a guy that goes 3 for 3 and flips 3 balls into right field. I mean, that's at the next level, that's not going to happen. So the guy that gets up there and takes big swings and tries to drive the baseball out of the yard, it's the way the game is today. It's not like it was 20 years ago, right? So that's the first, one of the big ones right there. The next one is a subset of that. We'll just say the word, okay? The next one's going to be a subset of that. We're going to say power, what we were just touching on. Can this guy change a game for me? If I throw this guy in a lineup, can he change a game? Again, speaking defensively right now, can he throw? If I got a guy that says he wants to come in and play the outfield, do we have the arm to sustain that? Or is he a guy that we're ultimately going to have to plug in maybe at first base because he just flat out, that isn't a tool set that he has? Okay. Yep. There you go. Is that better, Brent? Mm-hmm. Sweet. And the last one is speed. Can you run? Okay? Now this one, a lot of times determine what level guys end up at, okay? We've had some guys fall to us at the Division III level because they had some tools that played a higher level, just didn't run well enough. If you're a positional guy trying to make it in at like a major Division I school, I mean, you're going to need to be a sub-7 runner, 100%. Unless you're a big first base guy that can just catch balls and throw them out of the yard, right? I mean, other than that, you better be able to move a little bit, especially if you're an infield guy. A lot of times this separates. Okay? Remy, what's the most important thing up here? What's the most important tool? Power. Absolutely. These 2 right here, I would say, go hand in hand. Those right there. Okay, and again, we're talking right now, we're doing a little introduction to the process now. So what is going to get people to call you guys after a showcase, get you out on campus, start the process? These right here, I can tell you, are first and foremost. And if they don't add up and you're a positional guy, no one's going to go any further down the list. It's just the way it is. It's the way it is. Because the dynamic shifts when you start talking about college, right? It's not about are you needed anymore, right? We don't need anybody. So you have to want somebody to come in and be a part of your program. And if someone's coming in as a positional guy, they have to be able to hit. And maybe you're not a guy that drives the ball out of the yard all the time, that's fine. But if it doesn't appear that you can offer anything offensively with the bat, the checklist isn't going to go any further down, right? I was talking to a couple buddies of mine that coach at different schools at a showcase a while back, and we were talking, and speed is fantastic, man. If you can run really well, it's great. But if you're never on first base, who cares, right? You have to be able to swing the bat. So if you're a positional guy, okay, again, we're talking about what gets recruited here, what gets noticed. If you go to showcases or events and you're taking BP, you need to try to hit through the baseball and drive the ball into the gaps, right? And you will get called. If you put a ball out in BP and show really good intent on your swings, you'll get called by everybody that's watching you. Absolutely. Okay? But if you go up and you try to fist the ball the other way, you know, hit and run swings, try to hit the ball on the ground through the 4-hole or something, no way, because that doesn't play. If I got a lineup full of guys that do that, it's going to take me 3 hits in an inning to score a run. I'm not interested in that. I want an inning where if we strike out 2 times and then a guy throws a fastball down the can, we have a guy that can hit it out of the yard, right? So being able to show your offensive ability is what's going to get that done for you. Okay, that is the most important tool when we're talking about being a recruitable athlete. If you're a positional guy, first and foremost, you got to be able to swing it. Then everything else comes into play. Be 100% honest with you guys, on this list, I mean really what probably matters the least, honestly, is going to be here for a positional guy. I mean, everybody has their own philosophy on this. My philosophy on it, say you're an outfield guy, your arm strength's not really a big deal to me personally, because you might affect 8 plays in a season with your arm, maybe. In a good year, you'll have 8 outfield assists in a good college year. That's a good year. Throw 8 guys out, you're probably one of the top defensive outfielders in the country. Okay, it's 8 plays, right? So I go back to, if you can't do this, then these other 3 things better be really, really good, right? I mean, you better run like a 6.4, right? So as far as what's recruitable, really swing the bat as a position player. Okay, that's what's going to get you callbacks. That's what's going to continue the conversation. That's what's going to make me say, you know what, I need to go follow that guy around and watch his games, see him hitting games. So if you've got that tool and you can hit for some power, you've got good hand speed, you need to show that. Whether the results pan out or not, you need to show it. Show some intent. Okay? And don't confuse recruitability and marketability with results. Don't confuse that. Again, if I go watch a big guy go hit, and I really like him, and he's got a really good approach, and he's loose and athletic, but it just so happens on that day he flies out a couple times in Ks, I'm not going to be like, man, this guy went over 3 today, scratch. No way. Because to me, he's got something in it. I'm going to go see him again, and then I'm going to go see him again. But if I go watch a guy to see if he's good, and I've had this happen plenty of times, and I go watch him, and he's super defensive, tries to punch balls through the 4-hole, maybe try to do this once, but never takes big swings, I'm not going to take the time to go see that guy again, because that's not the kind of mentality I want on my ball club. I want a guy that's not afraid to punch out a couple times if it means launching a ball into the gap. You guys understand what I'm saying? You got to cut it loose, man. The guys that do really good things on the baseball field are the guys that aren't afraid to do the really bad things on the baseball field. You have to be afraid to do the bad things. Or you have to be fearless when it comes to doing the bad things. You can't be afraid of that. If I'm not afraid to look stupid and get fooled, I'm going to do a lot of good things. But if I'm so defensive, because that kind of stuff's going to happen, right? You're going to get fooled on your best day. Someone's going to throw a breaking ball that buckles you. 100% that's going to happen. Hitting's hard, man. So we want guys that are fearless and not afraid to cut it loose and let it go. So you need to show that when you're hitting. Okay? Pitching-wise, someone tell me what matters on the bump. Anybody? What? Velo. 100%. This is what matters first and foremost when it comes to being recruitable on the mound. Okay? Now, I'm sure you guys have heard so many different theories on this and what really matters, you know, and hey, but I throw 17 pitches from 5 arm slots, you know, to both sides, whatever, all that stuff. I'm telling you right now, as a guy that gets paid to evaluate talent, if you don't have a median working velocity that'll play at my level, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter. I'm not interested in how good your breaking ball is if the fastball's 75. Doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. And that's the truth, okay? There's a lot of stuff out there and a lot of people will say, hey man, if I can spot up, and what if you throw the ball in the corners all the time? Okay? You have to understand how you play the game. If I'm a hitter, the most powerful point for me is that if I know you can't take your best fastball and throw it by me, if I know you can't do that, I don't have to cheat at all. And if I don't have to cheat at all, I'm not afraid of your breaking ball either, man. Because I don't have to cheat, so you can't expose me in that way. If I know you can't throw a fastball by me, I'm not afraid at all, right? I'm going to dig in, and I know I'm going to be on time. So it doesn't matter if all of a sudden I throw a ball at the knees on the outside slot. If I'm a hitter, I'm going to smoke that thing into the gap anyway because it's not going to get by me. My barrel's going to be on time. So you have to have a median working velocity. Understand what I'm saying here, guys. This does not mean that you have to throw 92. It means you have to have the median, and everybody's different. As far as programs go, what they look for, you have to have the median working velocity that those guys are looking for in order for the conversation to continue. Okay? And the checklist goes just like this on all my recruiting sheets. This is what it looks like. That first and foremost, and then I'll put a dash and write whatever it is, right? 85. Okay, I'm going to go see that guy again. So then I'm going to go, I'll just put a BB for breaking ball. I'll say something like this, and it'll say like, you know, sharp. Okay, and then it'll list a changeup. Does this guy have one? Does he throw it for strikes? Can he command it? But I'm telling you right now, 100% honesty, the conversation never goes to here if that doesn't add up. There's too many guys out there to see, man. There's too many guys. Recruiting's a full-time job. I do something for PLU baseball 363 days a year, unless someone calls me on Christmas that I got to talk to, and then it's 364 days a year. Okay? So I can't afford to waste time on guys that just don't have the skill set. And everybody's going to be like that. Okay? It doesn't mean you can't play in college. It means that you may not be able to pitch at the level you want to pitch at, because literally this is what it comes down to. Right? For example, if you have aspirations of pitching at Vanderbilt and you're 82, I don't care how good your curveball is. It doesn't matter. Right? It will never go further than that. Okay? So when we're talking about being a recruitable arm and you're talking about training to be recruited, this is a great time for you guys at 16 years old. Next year is when everything's going to really start to hit. Okay? So as you're starting to develop, your job right now is to turn yourself into a player that people want to look at. That's your job right now. Whether that means hitting the weight room really hard and getting stronger, getting more flexible, getting your arm in better shape, you know, fine-tuning how you move, right? Had a lot of good talk already today about getting connected in the ground, powering through, working on all that stuff, because ultimately when it's time to be seen, I'm telling you right now that if you and one other guy throw in front of colleges and that guy throws 17 pitches in a row in the strike zone at 82 and you go in at 88 and break the backstop down, you're going to get called by everybody that sees you. And he's not. And that is 100% true. Okay? Because one day you're going to figure it out and you're going to throw gas. And that plays. How many guys you see come out of the bullpen in big league games that throw soft? No way, man. Come in and light it up. That's the way the game is. When I was your age, it wasn't like that, man. Like guys threw hard, but not like they do now. And there's a little more emphasis on, man, just really move it around and this and that. But the way the game is now, and with all the fantastic analytics and stuff that we've already seen today, that's where the game's going. You gotta have tools. And power beats power all the time. So we all need guys and want guys that can throw. So whatever the level is, it's going to differ in what that number is, right? If I coach at Oregon State, for example, I'm probably not going to touch that. Not to speak for them if they're watching, but I'm probably not going to touch that. Right? For me, absolutely, I would touch that. Absolutely. So you fit in somewhere. You just got to find where you fit in. We're going to get into that as we go along. But just understand, because there's a lot of stuff out there that's not entirely accurate. So someone that does this for a living, being totally upfront with you guys, and at the end of the day, there is no personal anything when it comes to recruiting. It's no personal. There's no coach really didn't like me. There's no coach had favorites. You know who our favorites are? The guys that get it done on the field. That's who our favorites are, right? We all have favorites. Every coach has favorites. It's the guys that compete and win and throw strikes and hit bombs. Those are our favorites, right? So if you're a guy that sees yourself pitching in college one day and you're wondering what you need to do to get better, I get asked that all the time. What can I do to get better? Get stronger, get more flexible, play long toss, right? Train and throw harder, man. That's what it is. And then it's about, okay, now this guy, how much pitchability does he have? Can he sink it? How's the change, right? Can he spin this whenever he wants to? Those conversations all come into play once we establish that this kid can throw at our level. I'm going to go see him again. And then it's a conversation of, well, how much do we want this kid? We know he plays, but to get to that point, the numbers have to be right. That's what it is. Right? We cool with that? You guys understand what I'm saying? Okay. All right. So I want to move on. So let's just say, and this, again, my next point here, I want you guys to take this to heart, man, because this is the time to figure this out over the next 2 years. Okay? You got to really make the decision. If you guys want to be a college athlete, if you want to be a college baseball player, okay? I understand everybody wants to play baseball. Okay, that's not what I'm asking. I want to be very clear about what we're asking here, Okay? And this is a conversation I have with recruits all the time. Okay? Do you love the game of baseball? And be really clear on what I'm asking here. I'm not saying if you go home and find there's a game on TV, do you love watching the game? Hopefully that's a yes, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, do you love the grind of the game of baseball? Loving the game of baseball is not, I went 3 for 4 with a jack today, I love the game today. Of course, man. Everybody loves it. When you're having success, throw a one-hitter and you're lighting guys up, game's fun at that point, right? It's fun as hell at that point. I'm saying, when you go 0 for 12 as a freshman at our place, and you go hitless over a weekend, and then you got Monday morning weights at 6:30, how motivated are you to go to weights? You just think you're crappy and you don't want to play anymore? It happens, man. People check out every year. I'm telling you what. We've had All-Americans quit because they say they don't love the game anymore. Happens. So loving the game is not about, do you love to get out on the field and play? Hopefully every single one of you, the answer to that would be absolutely. I love to get out on the field and play. Shoot, man, if my body would hold up, I'd love to go out right now and play. Right? It's not what it's about. Do you love the grind? Do you love showing up at practice if you got in a fight with your girlfriend that day, or you failed a test, whatever, you don't really feel like it? What are you going to do then? You going to go practice hard? Or are you going to tank it because you don't really feel like it that day? Because I'm telling you right now, it takes maybe 2 days of acting like that, and you're not in the lineup anymore. Because any good program you go to, you all want to play in good programs. Any good program you go to, it's got somebody else. Absolutely. We don't recruit one guy for every position, just for reasons like I'm talking about. Right? When you're playing in college, you are an employee. That's what you are. Right? The head coach of that baseball team is your boss. And your job as an employee is to go as hard as you can all the time. All the time. So are you going to put in early work? Or are you just going to say, you know what, I'm struggling right now, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, and mail it in? That's loving the game, man. When you're not at home anymore, and you're on your own, and you're struggling a little bit, dude, then you find out if you love the game, right? When you guys come down here, those of you that train down here, when you come down here and train, man, and somebody gets on you a little bit, and gets on your ass because you're kind of dogging it a little bit, what do? Do you go home and say, I don't want to go back there, they're dicks over there, I don't want to go in there? Or you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to show that guy that I'm a better baseball player than that. Right? Loving the game is, dude, you got to love every piece of it. You got to love weights. You got to love conditioning. You got to love inter squads, in the rain, practice, road trips, maybe not playing. What if you're on a squad but you never suit up for a year? You know, mail it in? Loving the game means, man, I want to grind. And that's what's cool about it, man, because you know what? The best friends you're going to make are the guys you play baseball with. Absolutely. You go to college and play, the guys that you grind with on the road, at practice, in games, you have all those highs and lows with, be your best friends. All my best friends I have through baseball in some regard or another. You go through so much together. Okay, it's a life-changing thing, but you got to make sure it's something you really want. Because the guys that ultimately don't finish and leave programs are the guys that went because they've always been pretty good, and it's something I'm good at, so it's fun, I enjoy it. But then as soon as somebody on the bump takes 92 and throws it under their hands, and they backwards K with 2 guys on, they're like, oh man, and then doubt creeps in, and then a little bit more doubt, and then they cheat on the next one, and K again. And pretty soon it's like, oh man, I don't think I can do this. Well, you don't really love it, you love the success of it. You guys understand the difference? Loving the success of baseball and loving baseball, not the same thing. Because I'll tell you what, it sucks like 80% of the time. It's brutal. Okay? Go play in the rain and get shoved on twice in a day. Have 2 guys just absolutely smoke you, go for 6. Then you find out. Then you find out real quick if you love the game or not. And I'll tell you what, man. Coming at it from a college perspective, which is what I want to come to you guys from today, our programs mean everything to us, okay? PLU baseball, everything to me. I'm a Lute man, I love it, okay? I am personally, just me, more than willing to go through the downs and the grind year in and year out because I want to win a national title. And we're close, and that's my goal. I want to get there. I want to get to the World Series and win it. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to try and get that done. And what I want to be part of my program, someone who wants to do that. Go through the grind. Have a crappy day at the plate, make a couple errors, whatever, walk some guys, lose a game on the mound, and show up early the next day because they want to fix it. That's what it is, man. College athletics, it's the best time of your life, but make no mistake about it, it's a grind. It's not like high school baseball. It's not like summer ball. It's a grind, and you got to really love it. Okay? So now's a great time over these next few years. Really think about it, man. And you know what? If you don't, it's fine. It's not for everybody, okay? But it is a life-changing, rewarding experience. You just got to want to go through the whole thing. You can't just want the good, right? And I think that's a misconception people make a lot. Okay? You guys get what I'm saying? Yeah? Okay. You guys have probably already experienced that part of the game. You guys probably all failed. It's part of it, man. On your best day, you might be really crappy at something. That's how it is, man. That's how it is. Okay? So, let's assume senior year of high school, yeah, you know what? I want this. I'm going to go grind, and I'm going to be a ball player in college. Awesome. So let's start talking about what the best ways to go about that are. Because another big question that I always get is, how do I get my kids seen? How do I get seen? How do I get in front of schools? I would like to go here. How do I get here? The short answer is, if you're good enough, everybody's going to find you. Okay? So if you're like a can't miss guy, like if you're going to be a scholarship, I understand everybody in this room probably sees themselves like in the Pac-12 or something like that, or in the SEC. Everybody online probably thinks, I'm going to go to a D1 and play. Awesome. Okay, have that dream. Okay? As you get older, you'll start to see where things kind of fall for you. Because if you're going to be that guy, you're going to know probably in about a year, maybe a little bit less, you guys. Okay? If you're not, sweetness, then you're like 99% of everybody else out there, right? So what do you do about it? Well, I'll tell you what, you need to go to events where you're going to be seen. Okay, now there might be some people watching in warm weather states where it's a little bit more prevalent, where people come out and watch some random, summer league game on a Wednesday or something. But here in the Northwest, it just doesn't happen, right, in the summer. It just doesn't happen. You're not going to get schools going out. The only way I'm going out to a random summer league game in Seattle on a Thursday and leaving my wife at home to go do that is if I know for a fact there's a guy at that game that I want to be part of the program. Absolutely, I'm going to go see him. Or maybe it's a guy I'm kind of 50-50 on and I need to see him some more. Yep, I'm going to go see him. But I'm not just going to go because. I'll tell you where I am going to go. I'm going to go to big showcase events. I'm going to go to showcase tournaments where I know, that's a recruiting event. That's what it is. So those kids are going to go and they're going to play and I'm going to get to see them all. Going down to Arizona in a couple weeks to go to a big one down there. Okay? So as you get through, go to local showcase events, right? And I would caution you this about going to big time national events that, we get asked all the time, well, I really want to take my kid to this event in Florida. Okay. But you better show some nines when you're there, because that's like one of those events where the big national events, you need to be a big national recruit. That's the way it is. Okay? Any school, regardless of level across the country, yeah, the big ones, the big D ones, they're going to get kids from all over because they can. But the bulk of their roster is going to be from probably neighboring states or their state. Just like here, like us, we're Washington, Oregon, and Alaska primarily, with a few kids from different areas in that. Why is that? Why do you think they're all kids from nearby? Any guesses? Somebody? Isaac, what do you got? What's your guess? Why would most kids on a college roster be from close by? Okay, well, what do you think? Austin?
Because that's where you're recruiting from.
That's where you're recruiting from. I can go see them. I'll go a state or two away, and if I know there's a really, really good prospect that's interested, I'll go further. But most times, man, I'm going to get around. Also, I can see them, and those kids are more likely to want to come to our school because it's not too far away from home. It's not too far away from home, which for most kids is a big deal. Okay? So when you start looking at, these big programs in, the SEC and down in Cali and whatever, awesome, man, go for that. But just understand that you're going to be up against guys that they've been able to go out and see and actively recruit for months. And you will be going in there and they're going to be going off of one time they saw you or a video or whatever, so you better really outperform everybody else. You guys understand what I'm saying? It's way more feasible to see kids that are around you. So as far as big, huge national showcase events, absolutely go to them if that's what you want to do, but you better be ready to be one of the best guys there. Because if you go to one in Florida, for example, there's going to be a ton of Florida schools and East Coast schools there. And a ton of East Coast recruits that are all lighting up the radar gun and hitting bombs because they got all the big schools from around their area there. So what I would do, most times what makes the most sense for guys is start going to in-region events. So for you guys from here in Washington, you go to events in Oregon, maybe one in Cali or Arizona or something like that that's close enough by where it's a realistic thing for you to want to go to a school in those states and realistic for them to want to recruit you because you're not too far away. Right? So be realistic in what you go to. I would start really going to those type of events this year, your junior year of high school, man. That's what I would do. And I would start really hitting that next summer, this fall, this winter. Okay, I know we're going to do one here. Start to get your name out there. Okay? The next thing I want to cover, which ties right into that, is when this all starts taking place. Okay, and I had a single mom, I was an only child, and it was time for me to go through it, man, it was panic time. Right? It was like, geez, senior year starts in 2 months, Sean, you don't have anywhere to go, what the hell are we doing? It's panic time because you don't know. Right? Here's when it happens. If you are, as I mentioned earlier, if you're a big-time Division I recruit, it's going to happen probably this year for you. At least serious conversations. Okay? An invite to a camp is not a serious conversation. I'm saying phone calls, a serious conversation, right? If you're not, who cares? You can still go play really good college baseball. And if you're not, it's going to happen this summer going into your senior year for 99% of everybody. Okay? Because the rest of us, Division II, Division III, NAIA, junior colleges, all recruit the senior class. All of us. Who's done Baseball Northwest? Okay, when you do Baseball Northwest at younger ages, there's not a whole lot of colleges there, am I right? Yeah. Did you know where they all are? They're all over watching the senior class. Because the guys that we want are the guys that have been kind of holding out to see if a Division I comes in and says, hey, yeah, we'd like to have you walk on or something like that, and then once it doesn't happen, they're like, okay, now I'll start to look elsewhere. Okay, that's fine. I always tell guys, take your time and see what happens, because maybe it will happen. But usually by your senior year, you kind of know, and then you're like, yeah, you know what, now I'm going to go start to look at some really good other options that maybe aren't at the Division I level. Right? And that's the senior year. So the summer going into your senior year is going to be when most of things start for most of you guys. Okay? So up until then, your job is to become as projectable an athlete as you can possibly become, so that when they go see you, you are your best self. That's your job from now until then. And then it's time to go, man. It's time to perform. Okay? But I want to be really clear that when you go to these showcase events, if you have a bad day, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the end of the world for you. Because what matters is what kind of tools you show. If you show that you can put really good swings on the baseball and they're all caught, no one cares that they're caught. I don't write stuff like fly out to center field 3 times in my book. I write shows power, drove the ball to the outfield, stuff like that. Right? If a guy's 87 and walks 4 guys, I'll probably note that he walked 4 guys, but I'll put, man, it's serious arm strength, projectable. Because all I care about are if you have tool sets that play. That's what it is. That's what it is. Make sense? So, showcases, absolute great thing to do. You're going to get seen in high school ball, and you're going to get seen at showcase events and big, scouted tournaments that you go play in. Rather than your random Tuesday league game somewhere. Unless some college is already talking to you and they want to go see you at it. Good? Okay. Next thing I want to cover with you guys. Once it comes time for you to start looking at schools and talking to schools, what do you need to look for, man? What matters? There's a checklist you guys need to go through, because it's not all about us, right? You guys need to make sure you're getting what you want out of the deal, too. You need to make sure it's somewhere you want to be, right? Good questions to ask yourself as you're going through this, right? First and foremost, you got to figure out what you want to study, man. Now, you don't have to know that right now, obviously, but you guys know what you like, and you know what areas you might be interested in. right? If you're a big-time computer guy, you might want a computer science, business, something like that. You have an idea what you like. And as you get to be a senior in high school, you can start to kind of figure it out a little bit more. But first and foremost, I'm sure you guys have all heard, right? Your parents have told you, or coaches all told you, baseball's going to be gone one day, right? Baseball doesn't last forever. It's true, man. It's true. And it's not necessarily that one day you just can't play anymore, you're done. It could be your second day of practice, blow your knee out. Hopefully that doesn't happen to anybody, but it could. It could. We had a guy go down yesterday. It's probably done. That's what it is. Okay? You don't know that kind of stuff. So you need to prep and make sure you're somewhere that you can still get a degree you want to get. For example, not everybody has engineering degrees. What if you want to go into engineering? But you choose a baseball program at a school that doesn't have it, and then something like that happens. Now you got to transfer and plan for plan B, which takes a lot. So you need to make sure first and foremost that you identify what you would like to look into, what you're interested in, and make sure the schools you're talking to have that. Okay, that's first and foremost. Secondly, and this is a big one that no one ever seems to listen on, and then it matters in the end. You need to make sure that you are very well aware of how far away from home you can go. I cannot tell you how many guys, especially from this region, go off somewhere, and then you see them at like Costco 6 months later during the school year. And you're like, hey man, aren't you supposed to be down in whatever, Los Angeles? And they're like, oh, it didn't work out, I came home. Well, it didn't work out because you didn't like being away from home. There's nothing wrong with that. You just need to be very real with yourself about what you can do. There's some guys, shoot, send me across the country. I don't care. Awesome. But maybe you're not that guy. You need to be real truthful with yourself on how important it is that your parents see you play. It's a big deal. You might not think it's a big deal right now, but chances are you probably will at some point. Are you a guy that needs to go home every weekend? See your family, or just because you'd never do laundry if you didn't go home, right? Maybe you're a guy that needs to go home just on holidays. Or maybe you're just a guy that goes home at the summer and that's fine, and then you travel back to wherever you're going to school. But if you're a guy that really doesn't like being away from home that much, that it doesn't make sense for you to start entertaining the entire country. So you need to narrow your focus a little bit. You guys hear what I'm saying? And you guys will know that. You'll know when it's time. Okay, I can tell you flat out, honestly, when I was 18 years old, there's no way I could have gone to the East Coast and played. No way, even if I had the option. I just wasn't that guy. I needed to stay a little bit closer to home. I had no interest in being that far away from my folks. So maybe you're that guy, but you need to pay attention to that kind of stuff, because once you go somewhere, it's not as simple. I understand there's all this transfer portal stuff out there and all that. It's not as simple as just snapping your fingers and leaving. Okay? Then all of a sudden you got to worry about credits transferring back. You might have to repeat a year. That stuff happens all the time. So take your time with this decision and make sure it's something that you can do and you're okay doing. If you're going to go to a school that's all the way across the country, you better be ready to do it. Right? Okay? Another thing that people don't often think about, really, it's not just about school, man. People think, oh, I can go to school there. Yeah, but you're living there. That is your new home and your new place to live for 4 years. So could you go to Independence, Kansas and live there for 4 years? Right? You got to think about that kind of stuff. So when it comes time for you guys to start talking to schools, do your homework. See where they're at. Do you have to have a mall 10 minutes away? Because that's not the case everywhere. Right? So you got to make sure it's somewhere. Here's what I always tell guys. When I have recruits out and I talk to them, you have to make a decision based on if baseball was not part of it. What if baseball's gone tomorrow? Can you go to school there? Do you like it there? Do you like the programs there? Okay? Because if the only reason you're going there is for baseball and you don't like anything else about the school, it's not going to work out for you. Because you're not going to be happy. Then your grades are going to suffer. Then your performance is going to suffer. And it's going to be over for you. So you got to make sure, what I would suggest, as this time comes around and you get schools calling you, once you identify who's seriously interested in you and is calling you all the time, you sit down with your parents and you say, hey, this school is blowing up my phone, really like me. Is this somewhere I could be if baseball wasn't there? What if I get there and the next day they cancel the baseball program? Do I like where I'm at? You have to look at stuff like that, because everybody that tells you that baseball's gone one day, hell yeah, it is. Absolutely, it's gone one day for all of us. So what then, man? Do you like where you're at? You gotta be happy where you're at. So that needs to be a part of it. So many times guys jump at the first school that says, I'll give you 30%, and they go there, and they're in like Southern Oregon in the middle of nowhere, right? And like the only thing around them are like cows. And that's it, and there's no cell service, and they hate life. Yeah, they're playing baseball, but they hate it. They hate their time there, and they leave. And you gotta transfer and do the whole thing over again. So you guys make sure that you feel good about the schools that you're seriously entertaining, not just the baseball program. You need to like where you're going. Agreed? Questions for anybody so far before we move on? Okay. This is like the height of recruiting season for me right now, so I'm loaded with examples for you guys on this. My biggest piece of advice that I would give you guys, and those of you that are in here all the time will hear this constantly in your ear from me over the next few years, do not sabotage yourselves when you're talking to schools, okay? It's real easy to do, man. Let me explain this to you. As a college coach, like I said to you earlier, our programs are super important to us, man. Super important to us. And we are adamant on not letting problems in, okay? And you guys need to understand, I tell my guys all the time that play for me in the summer, perception is reality. It doesn't matter what the truth is about you. Whatever you put out there is open to interpretation, and if my interpretation of it is something I don't want to deal with, it could be your dream school, and you could be a great kid. But if something comes out of your mouth that I don't particularly like, it's over. Okay? One, I want to keep my coaching job, so I can't just bring a bunch of problems in that don't work out. Two, doing this also, I have a family. I'm going to support my family, so I'm very protective of who comes into my program, who comes into our program, what kind of kids they are. Everybody's like this. It's not specific to PLU. Everybody's like this. Okay? Because we just want to win baseball games. We don't want to handhold anybody. So let me give you some examples. Okay? And these are all stuff I've seen or heard over the years. Some personally, some I've just buddies I talk to. One thing I always do, I always ask recruits to tell me about their high school coach. Tell me about your summer coach. I'm not really that interested in their high school coach or their summer coach. Who has a guess why I ask them that? Brian, why do I ask them that? Absolutely. See what they say. See what they say. Recently, I asked a kid that, and his answer was, well, coach, you know what, if I'm going to be honest with you, I really don't like my high school coach. I don't think he knows what he's doing. Right? Because guess what I'm going to think? Hey, man, well, he's a PLU, guess what he's going to say about me? Now, that might not be true. That might be the first negative thing he's ever said to anybody in his life. But the fact of it is, perception is reality. That's my only experience with that kid. So I'm going to go with my gut, and I don't need somebody out there backbiting me when I'm not around. So no way I'm going to further that conversation. I've had kids that I've talked about our team dynamic at the school and what kind of environment we create, and they've said stuff like, man, you know what, coach, I'm really glad to hear that because I don't like my teammates at all. Not a good thing to say. You can think that, but you don't say that. My point is this. One of the biggest red flags that you can get that's permanent, that you can't get rid of, is someone that'll just freely badmouth somebody. Because we're all a family, man. Baseball's a small, small world. And you don't want the reputation of a guy that's just going to go out and backbite people. So you got to be careful what comes out of your mouth when you're talking to schools. If someone asks you what you think of your high school coach, your teammates, whatever, it needs to be, you know what? Something to the effect of, hey, you know what? I think he does a great job. I respect him. I listen to him. That's it. You don't want to get out there at all that you're going to badmouth anybody, man. Huge red flag, and none of us want to deal with that. And regardless, like I said, regardless of whether that would ever happen again, being protective of our programs like we are, I'm going to treat that like it would happen. If you came to PLU, that would happen. So anything that you say, man, it's out there. You can't take it back. And now as far as I'm concerned, that would happen if you came to my school, and I'm not interested in that. Not interested in that. Okay, another big one that I hear all the time, you guys have probably, hopefully you never said it, but you've probably heard somebody say it. Coach only plays favorites. Coach has his favorites, he plays favorites. Political. I don't play because there's politics in my program. Again, might be true, but all I hear when you say that is I'm not good enough, so I'm not getting a fair shake, and I'm just going to blame the coach instead of getting better. Right? That's it. And I'm not interested in dealing with that. Okay? You have to be really careful what kind of stuff you say. When you guys are talking to colleges, the only thing that you need to be concerned with is conveying to that coach that if you come to that school, you want to help them win a national title. That's it. I want guys that are like, man, I want to come to we had an All-American closer that I was on for like 6 months from Alaska. And one day on the phone, like, he didn't get the academic package back that he was hoping for, and it was going to cost a little bit more than he originally thought. So we hung up, and I was like, man, you know, that's a real bummer. I really wanted this kid. And he called me back 5 minutes later. He's like, you know what, coach, I'm going to make this work because I want to come to PLU and I want to win a national title. Dude, I almost freaking ran through a wall. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard. Absolutely. And you know what? He came and he was an All-American. He wasn't the best guy. He was the toughest guy, and he wanted to win. That's what we all want. We don't want to hear the negativity. So you got to be careful, man. Social media, all that kind of stuff that people warn you about, it's true. You got to be careful. The only thing that you want out there that colleges see is that you are a dedicated athlete, and whoever you go to play for, you're going to run through a wall for those guys. That's it. That's all you need to have out there. That's it. There's no negative talk about anybody. You could seriously think that the coach you play for is the worst guy in the world, but you don't say that. Because that stuff never leaves. And there's no quicker way to get off a recruiting list other than failing classes and bad-mouthing people. You guys hear what I'm saying? Yeah. So don't do it. It's easy to let stuff fly, man. In conversation, but you don't know who's listening, and you don't know who knows who. So just don't say it. Just don't say it. It's sad when someone never gets an opportunity to go play somewhere where they could do serious damage just because they couldn't keep their mouth shut. So just be positive. Yeah? Okay. When you go on visits, okay? Campus visits, very cool thing, and I would advise you guys, any school that shows interest in you, okay? Unless you are having serious conversations with like major Division I baseball programs, unless that's occurring, you guys need to entertain any program that calls you until you determine that there's just something about the school or whatever that you're not real thrilled about. Other than that, you need to keep all doors open because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen, okay? You need to entertain every single person and go on every visit you can. And I got some do's and don'ts for you on visits, okay? When you go on campus visits, do your homework on the school before you go. Have an idea what's going on. Okay, I've had recruits that I've had visits scheduled for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they show up on campus and I'm like, hey man, I don't know if you got a chance to look up the program since we started talking. No, coach, I haven't. Okay, well clearly this isn't that big a deal to you. Remember, the guy that you're going on visits with, that baseball program is life to him. Huge deal to him. Like I said, man, PLU baseball is a huge deal for me, so I want guys to feel that way. Right? So when you're on visits, do your homework on the schools before you go on a visit. Know something about it. Know something about the business program you want to study or how the baseball team's been the last few years. Show an interest in the school. Ask questions. Good questions on visits are stuff like, hey, tell me about a typical practice day. Tell me about a day for the athletes. What does a class day look like? When does practice start? How does it go? Do you have a designated coach for this? What's your roster size? It's a big one. You can ask stuff like that. It's a good question. What's your philosophy on playing young guys? All good questions. Shows interest. It shows that you're putting thought into your decision. Okay? And we're not interested in having a bunch of robots that never say anything. So show some interest. Things to not do: walk around campus silently, not engaging, don't say anything. As I mentioned earlier, don't do your homework. And here's some questions for you not to ask. When you guys are on a campus visit, don't ask things like, hey, can I get drafted out of here? Or hey, can I transfer out of here? Do guys ever transfer and go to higher levels? I'm not interested in being a feeder program for anybody. I want guys who want to be Lutes, want to come to PLU. Every college in the country is the same way. They want guys who want to be there. Right? So when you're on visits, and believe me, that what I just said may sound stupid, but it happens all the time. Okay? When you're on visits, don't talk about getting drafted. Guess what? If you're good enough and you're 95, you get drafted, thrown in your backyard if the right guy walks by. It doesn't matter. Okay? There's been guys drafted out of Juneau, Alaska. You think there's a lot going on in Juneau, Alaska? Nope. But there's been people signed out of there. If you're good enough, so don't worry about it. What you want to convey to coaches when you're on college visits, like I said, is that if I come here, I'm going to be a bulldog for you and help you win a national title. And it's going to be the most important thing to me in life while I'm here. That's what we want to hear. Because we all go to the grindstone for this. So if you choose to come to our school to play, I want to know that you're going to go to bat with all of us and you're going to be there every day and give 100%. I'm not interested in your ulterior motives about trying to use us to leverage to sign or transfer to a higher level. I want to know that you want to be a PLU. Understood? You guys get what I'm saying? Yeah. You need to enjoy the recruiting time, man. It's a lot of fun. It'll be the funnest thing you ever go through. College recruitment's a really cool thing, and I hope you all get to experience it. It's great. Just got to have the right approach about it. And don't burn any bridges. Right? Questions from anybody?